What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Friday, April 22nd, 2022. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller. Alongside Forbes 30 under 30, a.k.a. the second best baby blues in San Francisco, a.k.a. the verified one at Tim Geddes.
Let Tim host, Greg. A pleasure to be with you 2 days in a row. A rare occurrence here.
You know, we had such fire yesterday with the burnt orange shenanigans that there was only one thing to do: suspend Blessing Adeoye Jr. and make sure that you and I could come in and host this show together.
I love it.
How are you? Did you have a good night?
I had a horrible night, actually. Slept very poorly. There's a lot of construction going on outside, and it's like, I don't understand. I swear to God, it's just getting earlier and earlier and earlier every day.
Sure.
Where it's like, this is just, it's a problem. Anyway, you shake it.
You love to sleep.
Rain
there's a few things you love more than sleeping.
Yes, that is true. And in my old age, I've gotten less and less able to sleep, which is
Gia, of course, she will not allow it.
I've gotten over that. That's been fine. But you add a dog, that's a problem. You add two dogs, a bigger problem. It's a whole thing. But it was pouring rain last night for the first time in a while out here. And Toretto hasn't had to deal with that much. So that was a whole fucking thing. More interest than fear, which I thought was good. But then there was the problem where he discovered that near our deck, the like little where the sliding door goes at the bottom, it got filled with rainwater, right?
Of course.
And he's like, he got cracked out. He started licking this shit and he wouldn't stop jumping off the bed to go like suck down this rainwater. And the problem with that is it's unlimited because it's rain. So it just keeps coming. And I've never seen, he was wired. I was like, what is in this rain that is causing, it's like catnip, man. Yeah, definitely lead.
Yeah. Now, did that lead, since it's unlimited water to drink, did that lead to unlimited P2P?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So I pretty much every hour was awake throughout the night. And then at like 7 a.m. the construction starts. And I'm like, well, this sucks. But anyways, I'm here with you and now I'm happy.
It's not like you have a packed Friday of game news and Jurassic Park 3 to review and other things to do for next week. So you can definitely kick up your heels at some point and rest. But you know what never rests? The gaming news. Today we're talking about the fact that a Sony Santa Monica dev promises that you will get God of War Ragnarok this year. We have all new PlayStation Plus release dates, and Splatoon 3 has a release date in September. We'll talk about all this and more because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show. Patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Over on Patreon.com/kindafunnygames, you can write in with your questions, your comments, your concerns, your squad ups, and everything else under the daily video game sun. Of course, on Patreon.com/kindafunnygames, you can get each and every episode of the show ad-free, and you can get it with the exclusive post show we do each and every episode. However, if you have no bucks to toss our way on Patreon.com/kindafunnygames, where you could also watch the live recording of the Kinda Funny X-Cast this afternoon, no big deal. You can get every episode of Kinda Funny Games Daily for free on YouTube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and on podcast services around the globe. If that wasn't enough of free ways to support us, well, of course, ladies and gentlemen, you can be watching us record the show live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, just like It's Charles 89 is, Lexi Gunner is, and PJ Julian are. If you are PJ, Charles, or Lexi, you have a special job. Go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching and listening later. And the one final way to support us for free, well, we know you're not giving us money. It's no big deal. You're probably spending them on video games. If you're buying video games on the Epic Games Store, use the creator code KINDAFUNNY. If you're one of the people like me that never plays PC, no big deal. Maybe when you're playing Fortnite, Rocket League, or Fall Guys on your PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, etc., you can use the creator code there as well. Another great way to support us for free is to watch our content as it goes live on YouTube. Housekeeping, P.S. I Love You XOXO is live right now and arguing that Naughty Dog shouldn't make another Uncharted. You can see this scintillating conversation and the fact that Blessing is a huge pervert and he admits it on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, podcast services around the globe. If you missed it, Blessing and Janet hosted the Skybound Games PAX East showcase yesterday on the PAX Twitch channel. It was a big deal. There was new gameplay for Escape Academy and WrestleQuest. Blessing called himself the Puzzle Papi, of course, and Janet called her family game nights unhinged. It was a great time. Don't forget the wishlist, WrestleQuest, which I can't wait to play, and Escape Academy on Steam, and celebrate the 10th anniversary of The Walking Dead's first season on April 24th. 4th. If that wasn't enough fun housekeeping for you, remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is your final weekday before KFW April Anarchy. That's right. Monday, we are holding our first ever Kinda Funny Wrestling pay-per-view. What does that mean? It just means the Twitch stream we usually do is going to be a pay-per-view. You don't have to pay to watch it. Don't worry. It'll be a big one. We got a whole thing. It's Milk Mommy versus Johnny Ace for the Kinda Funny World Championship. You can catch it live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames or catch it later on Tuesday, youtube.com/kindafunnygames, our new network. Timothy Geddes, what do you got?
I feel like I should know this even more than you would these days, but like they clearly stopped calling them pay-per-views a long time ago. And I know that the nomenclature for us, we just do that because we're so used to it. But what do they call them these days? Like, what do they call the monthly shows? There has to be something.
Yeah, there's something they call them. I do know this as an answer. I'm looking at the chat. Premium live events. Premium live events. That is it. Good job, chat. We're all about it. We're not giving up on PPV, all right? We still call the wrestlers wrestlers, too. When you see someone out there like shirtless Spider-Man just leaping off the rope every fucking move and not landing any of them, you say, that's a wrestler, all right? That's not a superstar. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Fargo, Brady, Pranksky, and Anonymous. Today, we're brought to you by Credit Karma, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 9 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
It'll be a race to see if we actually get through all of them or when I start shortening them and just deleting things. But number 1, ladies and gentlemen, the God of War Ragnarok 2022 release date has been reconfirmed. We start at VGC where Chris Scullion writes, God of War Ragnarok is still on track to release this year, according to one of the game's lead developers. On Wednesday, Sony Santa Monica tweeted a video of Cory Barlog asking fans to remain patient for news of the upcoming God of War sequel. This message received numerous replies from followers concerned that the continued lack of information on the game means it may be delayed until 2023. The video was also tweeted by the game's animation director, Bruno Velasquez, who was asked by a follower, Bruno, reassure us that this will come this year 100%. Bruno did as the follower asked, categorically replying, Ragnarok is coming this year, end quote.
Bruno.
You want to talk about a world of hurt coming to Bruno's fucking door from PlayStation PR right now in Sony Santa Monica? Ooh-wee, this is it.
This is why we don't talk about him. I get it now. Okay.
Sorry. In Wednesday's video, Barlog. I just want to say how great I am at this, right? Fucking nailed it, because I forgot actually in my notes to leave Chris Scullion VGC, but I was like 90% sure, and I went and Googled it. I did nail it. In Wednesday's video, Barlog, who revealed last September that he wasn't returning to direct Ragnarok, addressed a lack of updates on the game. Quote, speaking of God of War Ragnarok, the elephant in the room, we haven't said a lot about this. That's because everybody is heads down hard at work. We are perfectionists. Everyone's tightening up the graphics on level 3. There is so much going on right now that I just wish we could share it with you. But it's just not ready to be shown. But I guarantee you, the very second that we have something that we're ready to share, we're going to share it because we don't want to hold any of this back. So please hold tight. Know that something cool is coming and that everybody here at Sony Santa Monica, is so incredibly thankful for all the support you've given us. Although Barlog isn't directing the sequel, Although Barlog isn't directing, the sequel is instead being helmed by fellow series veteran Eric Williams, who joined Sony Santa Monica in 2004 and has worked on every God of War game as a designer, specifically focused on combat. Tim.
There's a lot here.
But I think at first, your heart has to go out to Bruno.
Oh, it does, man.
Your heart has to go out to Bruno on this one.
He means well. He believes it. That's good. All of this is good. I mean, let's start here. Let's start before the jokes, the real jokes, but before the jokes. It's like, this is good news. This is good news that somebody that high up working on this game believes that, right? And that means so much can happen between now and the end of this year where that's not the case. But as of April 20-something, 2022, they think it's coming out this year. I think that is a good takeaway from this. With the state of the world, with the state of video games, especially at this high quality, I'm a little bit doubtful. But hey, man, crazier things have happened. I don't know. I'm more interested in the Cory Barlog video. First off, gotta love Cory all the time. Second off, his level 3 joke made me laugh for
You
sure.
saw him, he deleted his Twitter and all that. You see that?
Yeah, that was a while back, right? But I imagine that has a lot to do with just their heads down, they're working, and like we all watched that documentary of them making the God of War.
Sure.
Like making games is stressful. Making games like God of War is extra stressful. And man, I feel so bad seeing him in this video because we got him on that press tour hot off of God of War. 10 over here, 10 over here. He's all like, I'm fucking feeling myself. I look fantastic. I am ready to rock, ready to roll. I'm strolling into any club I want to. They're going to give me VIP access. And you see him in this video and it's like, oh, Corey, I feel so sad for you. Like you were being beat down by this job. I just want him to get a win again. You know what I mean? I can't wait to see his next phase of looking at like an Adonis when he comes out with it, with his beautiful hair, takes the hat off. You know what I mean? It's going to be a good time.
Kevin, I'm sending you the tweet right
that's
now.
That's 2022.
So pull it up. Yeah, hopefully it's 2022. Hopefully we're right there. Kevin, if you can run this Twitter video of Corey back there talking, so you know what's going on with Corey talking at Sony Santa Monica, celebrating the 4-year release of God of War 2018. And that's the thing about this, Tim. Is that the story we've had over and over and over again about God of War Ragnarok, and is it really coming this year, goes both ways, where, okay, I can see it coming this year. Sure, you say it's coming this year, but I can also see it very easily being delayed. And again, to everything you've talked about, the state of the world, how big of a deal this game is, the state of AAA video game development, I would still say it's not coming, because probably I don't want to get I just want to have my expectations set. I would rather be super excited when they put a date on it and then they actually hit that date in 2022. But to, get away from that conversation, which I feel we've had so many times, and it's just us hypothesizing. There it is. And jumping around. It's like, I hate that when you know the word. Yeah, it's right there.
But you can have been there every day.
I know you're there every day. I feel it, and I love you, Kev. It's a conversation we've had a million times. Is it happening? Is it not happening? Again, to your point, it's April 2022, and Bruno Velasquez, who of course is animation director at Sony Santa Monica on God of War Ragnarok, says Ragnarok is coming this year. Like, that's how confident they are in April, or at least, I want to say he is, but like that must be behind the scenes how confident they are. Like, all right, then, like, you have to say, okay, they are really trying to do this. Like, that doesn't smack to me the same way of like when was it Last of Us Part 2, right? Where, Last of Us Part 2, they did the state of play and gave us a release date, and then like 2 weeks later, like, we're pushing it. It's not actually happening when we said it was going to happen. Like, that was very clear. Like, okay, cool, they did that, and I'm sure at some point before that video ever aired, they were like, this is not happening, but we just got to roll with it or whatever. April right now, Bruno says it's happening. I want to believe Bruno, and I believe those are the intentions of the studio. But you have to also imagine then Sony waking up, PlayStation PR waking up and seeing this and be like, fucking Bruno. Yeah, God damn it. We put up an entire video 2 days ago. The video opened at 4:20 of Corey being like, listen, we're not going to say anything. We're not ready for anything. We're not doing anything. And Bruno's like, it's coming this year, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Now, look, my gut tells me it is. And it's because when you look at a lot of the release dates of the last 365 days in video games, I've been more surprised than not that video games have hit when they said they were going to. Halo comes to mind, Pokemon Legends comes to mind. So and Horizon even comes to mind of when it actually hit. So it's like, looking at that, it's like, all right, this is a PS4, PS5 game. It is not dramatically different engine-wise or anything from God of War 2018. We know they've been working on this for a very long time. A lot of the heavy lifting was already done because of that, this being a sequel that doesn't seem to be, from anything we've seen, trying to reinvent the wheel. It is kind of just, there's going to be different realms. We're adding to this amazing story that everybody already loves, amazing gameplay everybody already loves. Wouldn't be shocked if it is going to be ready to go later this year. Does everything else line up in a way to lead to that? That, I think, is the bigger question. But I think it's going to. And I think when you look at where PlayStation's at right now, we're in a really interesting time in the PS5's life cycle, where we had the 2 years ago, the big PlayStation 5 reveal, right? The PS5 showcase. Sure. And we got a bunch of games announced. And we are now at a point 2 years later that the PS5 is out there. There are millions of them out in the wild. It is finally getting to a point where the amount in homes is substantial. It's not everyone that wants one, but it is like, it is.
Hey, I bought one yesterday. Bought another one yesterday for
hell yeah.
Me and Raj bought it for the studio. No big deal, everybody. No big deal. Are we the heroes? We are.
With that though, it's like I feel like you look at the list of games and more often than not, they're out. and they're good. So it's like there are things like Final Fantasy 16 that still aren't here, but we've gotten Miles Morales, we've gotten Ratchet and Clank, we've gotten Horizon, we've gotten Gran Turismo 7, we've gotten Returnal. It's like we're kind of through phase 1 of this whole thing, and phase 2 is a little bit more nebulous. Like we know we have some games coming, Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, like there are still big games.
Wolverine.
It's happening. Wolverine's happening, Greg. That's crazy from Insomniac.
Man.
Fuck
God
yeah.
damn, man.
But it's like we don't know what Naughty Dog's up to, right? Like we know Factions is still a thing potentially, but maybe not. Whatever, but that's still not even official. Like I'm saying, we have
a lot of conversation about this on PS I Love You available right now.
There's a lot of we're lacking official confirmation of what the next 2 years of PlayStation is going to look like. So I feel like God of War is kind of the end of that conversation, and there is going to need to be a transition at some point. So I imagine that whatever Summer Game Fest E3, whatever you want to call it this year, this summer, there will be a PlayStation event somewhere, whether or not it's officially part of Keighley's thing or not. I imagine there's going to be something that's to the level of what we've gotten the last couple of years from PlayStation.
For sure.
And I think that is going to give us a lot more context on their plans. And I imagine that that is completely reliant on God of War being 2022.
I like the way you think, because that just got me excited. All right. That gets me pumped right there. The same way when Blessing looks at some weird anime thing. You know what I mean? I'm that excited about the news you just gave me. Because like you make a good point of like, remember, I think back to that PlayStation 4 generation right there at the end where we had like what felt like 3 E3s where it was the same games, right? It was Last of Us, it was Ghost, it was Days Gone. You're like, all right, well, you're showing this stuff over and over again. I get it. But like it set the pace for what was going to happen. And you are right that I guess God of War kind of is the end of, or Ragnarok is the end of phase 1 of the PlayStation 5 life cycle, which then gets excited for phase 2. And you start going, and I wonder, would you see a teaser trailer for what Sony Ben's working on? Do they confirm Ghost of Tsushima 2 from Sucker Punch? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Dude, why am I blanking on this right now? The remake studio.
Visual PlayStation Visual.
No. Shadow Colossus, Demon Souls.
Oh, Bluepoint.
Yes. Like, what's Bluepoint up to? Right? Like, it's funny that for phase 2, if we're gonna go with that naming structure,
we did that. We just coined that, everybody.
There we go. We only know Insomniac, right? We only know that they're working on Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine, but it's like we got Naughty Dog, we got Bend, we got Bluepoint. There's like a lot of big questions now of like what are they doing? Obviously, Guerrilla is going to need a lot more time, having just launched Horizon. But then you look at Insomniac and you're like, they're pumping out Miles and Ratchet, and then Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine. It's like these teams are expanding, and on top of that, Sony's continuing to acquire different teams as well. So we're due for some announcements.
I can't fucking wait, ladies and gentlemen. For now, let's move on to number 2. Something else you won't have to wait long for. We have some all-new PlayStation Plus release dates for you. And of course, I'm just calling it all-new PlayStation Plus, but it sounds like they've done release dates before. It doesn't matter. They announced release dates for the revamped PlayStation Plus. This is the one, the only, the Jim Ryan on the PlayStation blog. We're making fantastic progress with our launch efforts, and I wanted to update you on the latest. We're rolling out our new offering for PlayStation Plus a little earlier in select markets in Asia, followed by Japan. Here is a look at our updated regional rollout schedule. Asia markets, excluding Japan, are targeting May 23rd. This is all 2022. Japan's targeting June 1st. America's June 13th. Europe, June 22nd. Jim Ryan continues. Additionally, we're also expanding our cloud streaming access to the following locations for a total of 30 markets with cloud streaming access. The following markets will also offer the premium tier from PlayStation Plus at launch: Bulgaria, Croatia, the Czech Republic, Greece, Hungary, Malta. That means Johnny Ace can get out there and he can stream the PlayStation Plus. Poland, the Republic of Cyprus, I said that right. Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia. We've been working on this massive global effort to provide flexible options, quality games, and greater value for our members for quite some time now. And we're just a few weeks away from our first regional rollout. We want to thank the PlayStation community for their ongoing support, and we'll have more to share as we get closer to launch. Okay. No, Tim
list of games. Like I just like, okay, cool. This is great. Why wasn't this part of the original announcement? This rollout is really bizarre. And at the end of the day, I'm only complaining because they're giving me something to complain about. It doesn't actually fucking matter. This is a blog post. We always say like this could have been an email. This is an email. They're not wasting our times with like big announcements and shit and then telling us this. So I can't be too upset, but I am just a little bummed that we're this close now to this launch and we don't know what we're actually getting from it in terms of games. We know the checklist and the big chart of here's the things and blah, 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 but it's like,
Number 3 on the rope. A report comes from Gematsu. Kevin, I was off my game this morning and didn't have these ordered correctly, so this is a change. I have moved this story up to number 3. Sal Romano reports Syphon filters have been rated in Korea. The Game Rating and Administration Committee of Korea has rated Syphon Filter 2, Syphon Filter Dark Mirror, and Syphon Filter Logan Shadow for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Syphon Filter originally launched for PlayStation on February 17th, 1999, followed by Syphon Filter 2, March 14th, 2000. Syphon Filter Dark Mirror originally launched for the PSP on March 14th, 2006, followed by Syphon Filter Logan Shadow on October 2nd, 2007. The only 2 games in the series that were not rated are Syphon Filter 3, originally released for PlayStation in November 2001, and Syphon Filter The Omega Strand, originally released on PlayStation 2, May 2004. The titles will likely be offered as part of the PlayStation Plus premium. Why did I screw that up? Oh, premium tier set to launch in June, which includes access to a catalog of quote unquote beloved classic games from the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PSP generations. There you go, Tim. Stick it where the sun don't shine. You said you wanted games announced and you got them. You're getting them, ladies and gentlemen. How many years have you motherfuckers heard me talk about the PSP Syphon Filter games? They're coming out so you can see they probably didn't age well, but they were great at the time, motherfuckers. I'll tell you what, I'm playing Logan Shadow in 2007. I'm underwater. I'm interviewing the writer, Greg Rucker, comic book author. Everybody knows him. I'm having a great time. That cliffhanger ending? Let's go. Let's go. Let's get Syphon Filter back on the map.
Funnest fact for you, Greg. Growing up, Kevin Coelho had 2 favorite video games. They were, number 1, Kung Fu on the NES.
Of course.
And number 2, Syphon Filter. Now, if you were to ask which Syphon Filter, I feel like Kevin's answer would be whichever one he was playing, including the demo of, I think, the beginning of 3, where you jump out of the helicopter in the mountains area.
Dude, isn't the demo of 1 like the
I don't know.
The demo of 1 where you're in the little city just tasing people till they catch on fire? I mean, is there any way to have more fun? I don't think so.
That was a good one. I will read from you, ladies and gentlemen, IGN.com, the review of Syphon Filter Logan's Shadow. No, I'm not navel gazing. I didn't review this. One and only Jeff Haynes did. He gave it a 9.5. Dark Mirror was an incredible title that showed off the PSP, but Logan's Shadow elevates the story, gameplay, and multiplayer elements to new heights. Not only does it keep the formula that made the first game so good, it smoothly improves on it. The tense action and incredible gun battles are strengthened with the addition of underwater combat and new combat abilities that fit seamlessly into the control scheme. Multiplayer has been bolstered with new modes and reimagined maps, along with a number of balancing aspects. Logan Shadow is easily one of the best titles to come out on the system this year. Tim, I, again, talk about how much I enjoyed these games at the time, playing them on my PSP. Everybody knows I love my PSP so much. I am a bit fucking terrified to see these on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 and see
totally.
like what I remember these games playing like, you know, 2 decades ago almost, Jesus, and what they actually play like now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, that's going to be true. I think Syphon Filter in particular is a franchise that really was trying to push the PlayStation to be something that it wasn't necessarily often used as, right? With the third-person action games that would become mega popular in the generations to come after it. But it kind of was unique and was a special game because of the type of game that it was back on the PlayStation 1. And then when you apply that to PSP, I think it's the same thing. It's the novelty of being able to play a third-person action game on portable console, right? And it's no secret that though the generation of games of N64 and PS1 and all that, it doesn't necessarily age that gracefully depending on the genre. I think there's a reason that like RPGs on PlayStation are the ones that are still talked about today as some of the greatest games of all time, whereas a lot of the other genres, not necessarily, because I think graphically they can get kind of held back by those early poly days. But it's funny with PSP in particular, where so many concessions had to be made due to the handheld nature of it, that PSP games have a look to them. You know, like
Yeah,
very often it's oh yeah, right.
Oh, they do, They do. We are in for a rude fucking awakening. This is like a monkey paw thing of like, I want to be able to play PSP games. Oh, you'll get it, motherfuckers. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see you play Secret Agent Clank and try to pretend this is good.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because it's like visually it looks dated. The backgrounds look like they have that look to them. I don't know how to explain it, but in the same way the N64 has like a smudgy like Vaseline look where everything's just kind of like round and smooth. Play PS1, very kind of triangle-y. There's a lot of triangles going on. PSP just has this look almost always where there's just like a 2D thing in a 3D world, and it doesn't ever a lot of clashing elements going on. And it was awesome at the time.
Sure.
But to play it not handheld on a much bigger screen, we got a lot of problems. And then the bigger question I have is like the HUD elements and stuff. Like, are they really going to up-res these things correctly, or are we potentially going to see some of the ugliest looking games we've ever seen on a TV?
It's also interesting too because, and I'm talking, obviously a bit out my ass as we go, but that's what we do here on these shows when we hypothesize and stuff, right? We're talking about, okay, cool. They're bringing PSP games to PlayStation Plus to be able to play them on your PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 or whatever, right? Through streaming and all that shit or downloads and yada, yada, yada. So many of those, remember, PSP only had the one stick. So, like, how is that going to feel? How are they going to get around that? And then, also, is that going to drastically limit the PSP games they'll bring? Because you look at this and be like, well, Greg, they're bringing these Syphon Filter games over. Remember that these got packaged and put out on the PS2. Kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. I remember there was a collection for them. I want to say it was PS2. Maybe it was PS3. But somebody let me know. Where they were ported early on, like, I forget how much time. You put it, you're wrong as well. The amount of time between the PSP version and then the other console version of it or whatever. I wonder. I think they added in the second stick then, didn't they? So that makes sense because you're copying over probably that version of the game rather than the original PSP version of the game. All right, Mystery Asman says
you say that.
PS2 version.
You say that as if they're gonna do that. We'll fucking see. If Nintendo is anybody to follow, they ain't gonna do that. They're gonna port the weirdest version possible, like the least updated version possible is what they're gonna give you, Greg.
Okay. We'll see. I can't
wait.
I
hope I'm wrong. Now, here's the big question I have for you that is, I think I know the answer to it, but I'm going to ask anyways.
Please do.
These games being rated, why? Right? Like, you'd imagine if it's just, hey, now it's available on this service and they're just old games, why would they need to be re-rated? Because normally re-ratings mean they're adding something and it's like a different SKU to some extent. Could there be trophy support? Could there be some type of remastering to some extent that would require a re-rating?
That has been the big question going around the trophy connoisseurs today. The fact that this is happening. Is it the fact that, it's not a new SKU, but it is a new SKU because it's a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 version of the game? Is that enough? Is that alone, that port, enough wiggle room to do it? Or have they done something to it with this? And there are going to be trophies. There are going to be things. Is it also the thing, and I'm, again, talking my ass, maybe Sal would know more, was Syphon Filter never in Korea before, so this is the first time it's getting rated over there kind of thing. Like, there's a bunch of, I am with you, Tim, that I think, and not even in a bad way, but I'm with you that I think this will all be the lowest effort stuff, where I'm not holding out hope that these games come and they have trophies, that they put trophies into them and all. And I don't even mean Syphon Filter. I mean all of these classics that'll be coming with the new PlayStation Plus. I'm not holding out hope that that'll happen. I'd be thrilled if it did. There's very few games I'd go back and play a bunch to get at those trophies, but I'd be stoked that they'd be there to be a fun reason to go and do it and yada, yada, yada. I'm with you that I think this whole thing is PlayStation going, let's add value to a service. Let's get in there, but let's not break our backs to do it. Let's give people what they want. They want to play these old games. They can play these old games. Fine. And like, they're going to be janky and they're going to be weird. And we're not going to go in and like really massage control schemes if we don't have to, especially if it was like, use the D-pad or the, face buttons before to match off on what your stick was doing. Like use the Monster Hunter claw. Remember playing Monster Hunter on the PSP and you had to play it like this?
What was the really early first-person shooter that everyone was like, this is going to be the game changer? And it was like, oh, no.
On PSP?
Yeah, PSP first-person shooter. And they're like, no, dude, totally. The face buttons work. Like, you don't need the second stick. You're not going to miss it at all. I missed it.
I don't remember. I need more than that. I'm sorry. That's not enough for me. I apologize. I
Very early. It wasn't a launch title. It was supposed to be a launch title, but it ended up coming out like a couple weeks later or something like that. PSP first person shooter.
See, what hurts me is that I the PSP launches while I'm still in college. I don't buy my PSP until I graduate college, and so that's when I picked up Luminous and OpenT, and I wasn't working at IGN yet, so like I'm behind that.
Coated Arms.
Coated Arms
from Konami.
Yeah. Well, there was your problem right off the bat. Konami.
Oh, that was a different time. 2000.
Whatever, man. I bought Silent Scope for my PS2 at launch too. Immediately returned that and bought Madden. And I was like, come on now. You know what I mean? Come on now. If it ain't Metal Gear, Konami, get out of here.
Tiny Toon Adventures Buster Bust Loose on the Super Nintendo would like a word with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love you and you love patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Of course, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames to write in to nerd out on shows like PS I Love You XOXO, where you could write in about your favorite classics that you'd like to see on this service. You could go there, of course, today, watch the XCast get recorded live. You could go there and just have fun and get all the shows ad-free. But guess what, Jack? You're not listening or watching on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. So here's a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Credit Karma. Are you earning credit card rewards? Credit Karma can help you compare your reward options so you can find a card that fits your lifestyle, helping you earn miles or cash back for spending you're gonna do anyway. I've been using Credit Karma for years. It's such an easy way to just keep track of my credit score and make sure that everything is going fantastically with so many great features. Credit Karma uses your credit profile to show you offers that are tailored to your financial situation. Credit Karma partners with a wide range of card issuers so you can be sure that you're exploring all sorts of options. Comparing cards on Credit Karma is 100% free and it won't affect your credit score. And best of all, Credit Karma uses your credit data to show you your chances of approval before you even apply, helping you apply with more confidence. That is an awesome feature. Credit Karma, create your own karma. Ready to find the card for you? Head to Credit Karma and check out your personalized mix of offers today. Go to creditkarma.com or the Credit Karma app to find the card for you. That's creditkarma.com.
No, I don't have enough information overall, but if we're talking about PSP, I like to talk about PSP. I love PSP. It's one of my favorite,
of course,
maybe my favorite, PlayStation system. In the chat, 1K Bag of Soup says the PSP had legit the best Star Wars Battlefront game though. And I am not sure which Star Wars Battlefront 1K Bag of Soup is talking about. 2 is where you're going for? Because remember, there was Star Wars Battlefront Renegade, remember? Squadron, Renegade Squadron.
And I'm pretty sure 2.
Well, here, it doesn't matter because I don't care about 1K's Bag of Soup. I care about the story I need to tell. Can you believe, Tim, you've worked with me. How long have you worked with me now? I mean, obviously, I kind of funny. 7 going, it's more than 7 years. But at IGN, how long were we together?
I mean, at least 10 years now.
We've been together 10 years. For everything you fucking know about me, can you even fucking imagine that I reviewed Star Wars Battlefront Renegade Squadron on PSP? Like, that came down the pipeline at IGN, and somehow Greg Miller got assigned to it. Mr. Star Wars and Mr. Multiplayer, apparently.
Wow. God, IGN was a different place, man.
It was so fucking weird, that the stuff I would review, and all right, cool. Like, I enjoyed this game, I remember, of course. But it's like such a weird thing of like, now, of course, I think, and this is, I can't speak for IGN, but for the way we review stuff, right? It's like, you have to be interested in the game. But back in the day, the way it was broken up between the teams of PlayStation team, Xbox team, Nintendo team, you were like interested in the platform. And so you review stuff based on the platform rather than your interest and taste in games, which is such a bizarre concept, I think, to sit here and look at.
Yeah, totally.
But I remember, everybody knows I'm married to Jen now and I'm in love and we have a kid, yada, yada, yada. Before that, remember, I was a dumb kid in the Midwest who got married way too early. I remember editing this review. Like, it was already live, and then I made some kind of change to it while I was like in my tux getting ready to go downstairs to the hotel to get married.
Wow.
Another
That's
life.
So funny.
Another fucking life.
Battlefront 2 on PSP, though. Banger of a video game. One of the PSP's best, for sure. That was one of those, you're in high school, it's lunchtime, we're all on the quad fucking playing some multiplayer. You know what I'm talking about? Let's go.
Are you hacking the sack too?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got a duo of Borderlands stories for you. Let's start with this one. Tales from the Borderlands is back. Yesterday, Gearbox tweeted this from their PAX panel. New adventure, new characters, new tales. An all-new Tales from the Borderlands is coming in 2022 from Gearbox and 2K. Before we get into discussing, I'll go to GameSpot, where James Carr has just a little bit more information from watching the panel. Announced by 2K and Gearbox, the sequel to Telltale's episodic point-and-click adventure game has been in development for years, according to the developers. The biggest change between the sequel and the original is that the sequel title is being developed in-house by Gearbox instead of by Telltale Games. This could be because Telltale Games shut down in 2018 before the studios revived, at least by name, in 2019. This is one of those roller coasters of emotion, Tim, where it is, oh my God, it's back. Like, I love Tales from the Borderlands. Tales from the Borderlands is one of my favorite Telltale games. Walking Dead Season 1 is definitely above it, but I've talked about it a lot, but Tales from the Borderlands, I think, is one of the funniest games. I remember having a bad day playing it, laughing my ass off, being so into it, and just loving the entire thing, and especially loving it when they announced it, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, Borderlands is all about the guns and the shooting. Why would I want to play a Telltale kind of game of it? And being totally wrong, and the game was great. So there's that immediate, it's back, fuck yes. And then there's the, wait, but the people who made Tales from the Borderlands aren't necessarily working on. I'm not saying nobody from former Telltale is now at Gearbox or yada, yada, yada. But it is this thing of like, oh, it's back in name. So like, okay, like, let's see what you got. I'm excited for it or whatever. But what it'll end up being, who knows?
Yeah. I'm happy it's back. I've heard nothing but good things about Tales from the Borderlands, and everything you just said kind of rings true to be the kind of like common thought on the game. Like, it is most people's favorite Telltale game, it seems like, and even people that didn't love Borderlands necessarily seem to vibe with this game and the humor and the writing of it. So hopefully they can maintain that stuff, because that is what makes that game special.
In the live chat here, Last Glass Gaming says, do you need to have played any of the other games to enjoy Tales from the Borderlands? Absolutely not. No, you don't need to. I think it maybe would help you understand the fact that gun manufacturers are a really big deal, and like that they're like these mega corporations in the world, and like Hyperion versus, Atlas versus etc. Like, that would be helpful. But outside of that, no, you don't need to. You're gonna have a great time. It's Troy Baker, it's Laura Bailey, it's Ashley Johnson, it's Loaderbot, like, fucking how are you? God, Loaderbot's the best. I don't even go play the fucking game. Go play the fucking game. It's honestly, it's a mixed bag. Go play the game. Now we'll see what happens with that. That's exciting. There's the news for you. I'm surprised it's coming this year, but again, to James Carr's article, if they've been working on it for years, awesome. Weird then, I feel like if it's coming this year, you didn't have more to show. They just showed the Borderlands symbol and then outlines or silhouettes of people in front of it. I understand you want to do a big reveal. I feel like that could have been a big reveal. We'll see. Of course, new adventure, new characters, new tales. You assume you're not getting back Reese, Fiona. These are the characters, of course, from the first game that was Troy and Laura. Of course, Troy Baker didn't come back for Borderlands 3 to reprise his role of Reese either. So there was that whole brouhaha of like why he wasn't cast and what was going on, blah, blah, blah. We'll see what they got. We'll see who's in it. We'll see where we go. But it's that's awesome. Okay, but like, it's another one of like, you got a lot to live up to on that one. And especially for a completely new team. I know Gearbox makes Borderlands, it's their thing, but like in terms of who's coming on to do it, I think they know what they're up against, so hopefully they got something up their sleeve.
Yeah, and with Borderlands, it's like they do a good job, they put out their products, but they don't always give us everything we're looking for. Like, if you wanted to play Borderlands 3 and you have a PlayStation, but your friend has an Xbox.
Number 5 on the Roper Report. Speaking of Borderlands, Borderlands 3 is finally getting crossplay. We go to Eddie over at GameSpot. It is no surprise given what the studio said recently, and there's a hyperlink there. If you remember, Tiny Tina launched with crossplay for the first time for Borderlands, and they were like, it should be able to come to Borderlands 3. But Gearbox Software has now officially announced that Borderlands 3 will soon have full crossplay support across all platforms. This was confirmed during Gearbox's PAX East keynote address. Full crossplay will arrive sometime this spring. With the update, players across PC, Xbox, and PlayStation consoles, as well as streaming through Stadia, that's right, Stadia still exists, can connect and play together. Back when Borderlands 3 originally launched in 2019, it was revealed that Sony apparently blocked crossplay for reasons it never disclosed. Sony has historically not been the strongest supporter of crossplay. During the Epic vs. Apple trial, documents submitted to the court revealed that Sony would require that developers adding crossplay functionality to their games pay a royalty fee. The documents showed that Sony would calculate this fee based on the popularity of the PlayStation version of the game in question and how much money it made on the PlayStation Network. Sony has apparently now changed its stance regarding crossplay, or some other deal was worked out in the case of Borderlands 3. So there you go. Borderlands 3, ladies and gentlemen, only took 3 years, but I can finally play with Fran. I can finally go out there and play with Fran.
Now's the time.
If you don't remember, of course, Fran sold me up the river and stabbed me in the back for $12 on Twitch because he was down to play it on PlayStation with me. He was down to do the whole thing with me. And then, of course, there's going to be a Twitch module that won't launch on PlayStation version of the game right away. And Fran's like, well, I got to do it. And so Fran and all his goddamn menus went out there to give you a fucking vault key and threw me, one of his best friends in the world, aside. And honestly, we've never been the same. I see it once in a while, go through the Reddit. Whatever happened to Fran? Fran used to be on Gamescast. Fran used to fucking be on Games Daily a lot. Well, Fran stabbed me in the fucking back. And so he's cast aside now. And that's why Tamora Hussein's here. And as soon as Tamora does it, he's cast aside too. You think Lucy James doesn't want to step up into Tamora's spot? I guarantee you she does. Don't worry about it. I don't know if you've noticed this, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone is replaceable except me. Everybody. All right? So next time you want to fucking feel bad for Fran, remember Fran screwed Fran. Next story.
My favorite thing is you doing this speech, and I just catch your eyes looking like, like, is Tim gonna react? Is chat reacting? I'm just gonna keep doubling down. Like, I'm not pissing enough people off.
And then, in the chat there, Witness says, is this a KFW promo? Remember, KFW, April Anarchy, Monday, twitch.tv.
The thing everyone needs to know, if you don't already, about Greg Miller, is at any moment he can shift from being Greg Miller to a wrestling personality. And you just gotta roll with it and just be like, okay, cool. And he's healed now. And hey, he face turned right now, live in front of our eyes. You'll love to see it.
Number 6. Splatoon 3 has a release date. Kevin, I put the tweet in there. It has a little trailer if you want to watch it. They tweeted that Kevin will show you here. Incoming, but it's like ink, but incoming. Splatoon 3 splashes down on Nintendo Switch September 9th. Get an early look at the game with this fresh Turf War gameplay. And you see this thing here with all the Inklings out there doing their thing. And Andy Cortez, very excited. Very excited. God bless them.
Yeah, so this is interesting. The September time slot, they've been saying summer for Splatoon 3. September, it's pushing it, but when seasons are weird when it comes to products and video games, and they're just ideas more than they are like actually following any real rules of things. But what I think is interesting about this is, in addition to the news of getting the release date for Splatoon 3, we recently got the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 release date, news of it being pushed up. We know Advanced Wars is coming. That was pushed back originally. We're starting to get an idea of what, and Breath of the Wild getting pushed out of 2022. We're getting a better idea of what Nintendo has to offer for the rest of the year. But I think it's interesting that today they also announced that they are adding the Splatoon 2 expansion pass to Nintendo Switch Online. So when we start looking at what Nintendo Switch Online is offering now, this is definitely a kind of fun.com/you're wrong thing, but like all the major DLC packs for games are now essentially part of Switch Online. So even for like previous games, the exceptions being Breath of the Wild and Smash Ultimate with the character packs. But the Smash thing makes sense to me.
Before you go any further and maybe spoil anything else, BanderSN writes into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames and says, hey, Greg and Tim, earlier this week, Nintendo moved the Xenoblade 3 release date up to July, and I wrote in to speculate that it was because Splatoon was going to take the September spot. Shout out to me, of course, but more importantly, the Splatoon 2 DLC is now being added to the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, making the first time an old DLC has been added. Do we think that Nintendo will continue to add older DLC titles to the pack as sequels come out, i.e. Xenoblade 2 DLC or Breath of the Wild DLC, or is this a one-time deal? You were getting close to that, Tim, so I just had to throw it out there.
Yeah, no, that's good. And the chat's already wrong me. Charles Jacobson saying Pokemon Sword and Shield isn't in the NSO expansion. So, okay, there are actually quite a bit of examples of packs that aren't.
Just says Xenoblade Chronicles DLCs aren't in there yet either, and that's you're wrong. And then, of course, BanderSN writes in and says, Greg said everyone is replaceable but him, but he specifically replaced himself with Janet Garcia on PS I Love You back in October when he was taking a vacation or something. Who knows? It's a great fucking point. Everyone is replaceable, it turns out.
We're wrong. But what's interesting about this is I think it kind of is providing a pattern for us to follow going forward where, let's look at what games are coming out. I wouldn't be surprised. Like here we have Splatoon 3, so Splatoon 2's expansion is being added. This obviously is a new thing that didn't exist when Splatoon 2 first came out. So I wouldn't be surprised if as we get closer to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, we do get the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC. Once we kind of like get a little bit further away from Smash Ultimate being the final version, that it being added, the challenger packs being added, I'm sure they're still making a lot of money, so they wouldn't necessarily want to do that right now. I still believe we're gonna get a Smash Ultimate edition where it's like all the characters on one cartridge and like they re-release it physically or digitally, whatever way they decide to do that. I think that would be the time that they add Smash to this.
Sure.
Breath of the Wild 2, when that comes out, Breath of the Wild 1 stuff, like I think it makes a lot of sense, and they've just been making those decisions. Pokemon Sword and Shield potentially leading into Pokemon, I always forget the names, but the new ones,
Ruby and
no,
Red Dog.
Scarlet and Violet.
I was close.
Thank you. You got me there. Though. But yeah, those
Pokemon Red Dog.
But anyways, I do think that this is starting to make sense. And again, I've been saying it since day one, and people disagree with me, but Nintendo Switch Online is a fantastic deal, and this expansion pack is just continuing to be more and more worth it for the same cost that it originally was for people. So,
agreed. There you go, everybody. Number 7 on the Roper Report. Skate 4 is getting skate parks that you can play with your friends, apparently. This is Tom Ivan over at VGC, who reports on Jeffy Grubgrub and says, Skate 4 will reportedly include an online free skate mode which lets users hang out and build skate parks together. Venture beat reporter Jeffy Grubgrub discussed the mode on Thursday during his premium Giant Bomb show, Grub Snacks, transcribed by VGC. Skate 4 pre-alpha footage and new details leaked on Wednesday from playtesters and new details leaked on Wednesday from playtests being held this week. This is Grubby. Quote, I've heard from people who have played it that it is very fun. People seem to be very impressed with the way it feels. That is the big takeaway. Grubb said EA is attempting to modernize the series without taking away from what fans loved about the 3 original games, the last of which are released in 2010. Quote, they are going to be taking some modern stuff, specifically the kind of stuff you might see in a Forza game or a lot of modern online multiplayer games where you're going to have a lot of customization options for your character, a lot of skins for your board, things like that. And there's going to be a lot of user-generated content where you can wrap your board with some crazy stuff that the community has made. They're going to really emphasize that stuff. And where that stuff should shine is on the other side of this, which is sort of this collaborative online free skate mode that does sound very good. This is a mode where you are hanging out with your friends or anyone else who is going to hop onto the server, and then anyone on the server that day can say, hey, does anyone want to try to lay down some tricks with me over on this thing? And then someone can lay down the skate park stuff required to do that in real time with everyone else right there and just say, here's a ramp. We need to make this happen. There it is. Now everyone start doing this. And people can work together to make these parks all at the same time. You can add stuff, delete stuff on the fly. And the people that have played this mode said this was kind of the standout, where it was just really fun to do that with friends and with other people. EA CEO Andrew Wilson previously said he believes the company can grow the appeal of the skate series by focusing on industry trends around user-generated content, open worlds, and community. Tim Geddes, I know that you are a huge Tony Hawk fan. For me personally, Tony Hawk never connected with me till Thug, and even that, I liked Skate more when Skate dropped. Skate was, and granted, it was I think Skate had like a community around IGN where like Hillary was playing it and a bunch of other of us were playing it. So it was, we were sharing clips and stuff. That was an early thing you could do and having fun with it or whatever. I've been excited for the return to Skate, and something like this actually sounds really dope for me personally. What about you?
I mean, this is every single correct choice they could possibly make for the Skate franchise. Like looking back at the history of skateboarding games, like specifically with the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater franchise, like you're right, that is definitely where my heart lies. And I've never really gotten into Skate in this nearly to the same extent that I have Tony Hawk. But what people need to remember is it's funny now because it's like I'm obsessed with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake, and it's like kind of weird and silly. That's like, oh, Tim just likes this like old fucking game that seems random. Like it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Back in the PlayStation 1 era, Tony Hawk Pro Skater was one of the biggest game franchises, just hard stop. Like this is a pre-Call of Duty time where comparatively to what video games were then, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was the biggest thing. It was one of the top sellers every year, signing a 13-game annual deal, and it was just every year banger, 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 banger. But then all of a sudden it was like, no more bangers. This is not banging anymore. Oh, it's same thing we've seen with Call of Duty. Same thing we've
does
seen
not bang
with Assassin's Creed, right? And it was around that time that Skate came in and was like, we are going to do what Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is not, and that is kind of make a game that is more focused on the culture and more focused on people that are actually into skating at this point. And way less arcadey. And what skating is, it's hanging out with your friends, right? And it is kind of like this idea of practice makes perfect, and getting down that one combo, that one line, going from park to park. And there is a community aspect to it that the Tony Hawk games never fully had. I mean, they did have online, and that was like a very key thing. Like, people forget Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 was one of the first PS2 online games ever. You get that network adapter, and it was like that was one of the first games you could play. Tony Hawk's 4 had a ridiculously popular online community going on, and to this day, people are still finding ways to play it. But what is interesting here with Skate is Skate kind of existed in that next era when Tony Hawk died out and was really creative, and the things people liked most about it were when people were playing multiplayer, right, and hanging out together. The industry has changed and shifted so much in the years since Skate has been relevant that it is the best time ever for it to come back for all these reasons, where people are used to games as a service. People are used to playing things like Minecraft or Roblox or Fortnite to hang out with friends just as much as they are to play a video game. So you add that to the gameplay and idea of skate culture and of skate itself. That is such an amazing promise. And it seems like they're taking their time. They understand that they need
100%.
to focus on those elements. I think that this is the greatest chance for Skate to succeed. And it seems like they are really, really working from a place of understanding of what Skate needs to be in 2024.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that, I always thought about Skate compared to a Tony Hawk, and again, I'm unfairly probably criticizing the original Tony Hawks, right, outside of Thug. But what I liked about Skate is I always felt like it was relaxing. It was about trying to hit this line, right, and do whatever trick you're trying to do. And I didn't feel like I was failing when I fucked it up. I felt like I was trying and getting better, right? And over here, a guy or Malone in chat says, Skate has to reinvent itself with the modern state of chill hangout games. And I think that's, again, a great point of it. Yeah, like to take the experience that I associate with Skate of just sitting there trying to do a thing, land a thing, be goofy, and put that into a room that is all of us, where you're doing something, Snowbike Mike's over there trying to grind out whatever rail and also just streaming, and I'm over here trying to do a very specific thing. I could see that being a lot of fun. I could see that being good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 8 on the Roper Report is a quick update that doesn't require a lot of time. This is Steven Totilo over at Axios reporting. Judge says gender discrimination suit against PlayStation is light on facts. If you remember a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, I don't know, time's a flat circle, we talked about this lawsuit filed by Emma Majo, and now there's a response from the federal judge about it. So 3 paragraphs on it. There's more at Axios if you want to go get into it. A federal judge dismissed much of a former Sony PlayStation employee's gender discrimination lawsuit against the gaming giant on Thursday, but is giving her an opportunity to make a stronger case. In a 20-page order, U.S. Magistrate Judge Laurel Beeler dismissed 10 of ex-worker Emma Majo's 13 claims without prejudice, including those focused on pay discrimination and harassment. Majo can amend those claims and try again, but will have to rebound from a ruling that says she hadn't stated enough details to make her case, particularly regarding alleged violations of the Equal Pay Act. Again, I think when we reported on this the first time, it was from Axios. So Steven Totilo doing great work over there, following up on this story. I wanted to make sure we gave you the update, since it was one that, hey, this is what's happening. We'll see what happens. This is what's happened, where they're like, all right, cool, we don't have enough facts to actually make this be a case. So I assume when Emma files again, Steven will update us again, and we will update you. But I wanted to make sure that was there. And then, of course, no matter what, everybody should treat each other nicely and be kind to each other and not be taking advantage of workers, whether that happened here or not, which apparently one judge says you can't prove yet. So we'll see how it goes in the end. Number 9 and final, Tim. It's more TIMBITS. That's right. Two little donut holes for you to enjoy. Number 1, Dying Light did very well. This is a press release from them. Independent developer and publisher Techland celebrates an excellent start for the critically acclaimed and genre-defining Dying Light 2 Stay Human. As of February 28th, 2022, Techland has sold 5 million copies of Dying Light 2 Stay Human, and the number is growing significantly each month. The Polish studio opens the 4th decade of its existence with 2 smash hits, as the first Dying Light recently achieved over 20 million lifetime sales to date.
Hell yeah.
Yesterday, this press release came through and I slacked Blessing, and I was just like, can you believe Dying Light 2 was this year?
Yeah.
That feels so long ago after all the reviews we've done.
Absolutely. It feels so long ago. And I really got to give it up to them, right? They did it. Dying Light 2 seemed like the type of game that was like, yo, this has been talked about way too long. Is it going to be relevant? Is there any marketing that can actually salvage this from just being a like dud? And they did, right? They put out a game that was at the very least good enough. People seem to resonate with it. And like, these are great sales for this, especially at the time that it came out. So it's like, good for them, man.
Then your next one, Timbit here, is Ubisoft is developing a new PvP battle arena. This is Tom Henderson at Xputer. 8 sources have confirmed the development of a new game being developed by French studio Ubisoft Bordeaux. And a new playtest emails that have been sent out these past couple of days, Ubisoft has described the game as an, quote, innovative and modern PvP battle arena game, end quote. The game, codenamed Project Q, that was originally spotted by Eurogamer back in September 2021 from the leaked NVIDIA GeForce Now database, but was later removed following a DMCA takedown from Ubisoft, has started its first ever playtests today. You can go to Xputer, read more about it. There's a whole bunch of little facts and stuff they have from it, but that's happening over there. But in more Ubisoft news, Tim, breaking while we've been live, I have a report from Bloomberg's Ruth David, Dinesh Nair, and Giles Turner, who write, Assassin's Creed publisher Ubisoft draws buyout interest. Ubisoft Entertainment SA, the video game publisher behind the Assassin's Creed franchise, is attracting preliminary takeover interest from buyout funds, people with knowledge of the matter said. Several private equity firms, including Blackstone Incorporated and KKR & Co., have been studying the French business, according to the people, who asked not to be identified because the information is private. Ubisoft hasn't entered into any serious negotiations with potential acquirers, and it's unclear whether its major shareholder is willing to pursue a deal, the people said. So again, that's breaking right now. Something that went live while we were live. Keep your eye on it. We'll see what happens.
Sorry, that was a lot. I'm not looking at the article in front of me. So are there actual potential buyers that are being talked about?
Yes,
or
several private equity firms, including Blackstone and KKR, have been studying the business.
Interesting.
So they're looking to buy.
Gotta say, it's hard to be excited about Ubisoft these days.
Their games or their company or all the above?
Well, the company, absolutely. But like just the games, like with where it's at right now, it's like, I don't know. Like it feels a little directionless. And like things like this, like, oh, developing a new PvP battle arena game. It's like, all right, really? Like that's what you're gonna do right now. And like Riders Republic, right? Like I know that was the type of game that is, in my opinion, interesting because it's like speaking to a different type of audience, but that it just didn't deliver. And the Prince of Persia remake seems like an utter disaster still. And then they're still doing their Assassin's Creed and all that stuff, but it's like, and I know that I'm coming from a very specific place, but I'm now naming like 5 franchises. But like, where's Rayman? Where are the more UbiArts type games? And instead, it just
remember
seems like
UbiArts?
Oh my god, I love it. Absolutely love it. But yeah, it just seems. I guess we have Mario plus Rabbids coming this year.
What's interesting about it, right, is that all that stuff you're talking about stems from when they fought off Vivendi. Remember when Vivendi was trying to buy Ubisoft? That was when Yves and the co was very much like, hey, let's be public about who we are, what we are, and then what's a Ubisoft game? And that led to these giant open worlds with millions of things to do and that kind of, games, not as service, but with updates and DLC and all that stuff. Like that became their vision of what the company is, which has led to where we are now, which to you is a turnoff. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously, like I feel like right now I have nothing on my Ubi horizon that I'm stoked about. Like I'm excited to see that new Division mode. Whenever that drops. What you talk about things that have disappeared. Division Heartland leaked about this time last year, right? And seemed like it was going to come out in the summer, and then never a word out of that. Then what? Then what'll happen next to Assassin's Creed? There, the DLC for Valhalla of like going to what? I guess Valhalla, or whatever. When you're fighting the gods and all that jazz. I've never been about the fantastical element of it. And again, though, that game is just gigantic. Remember, I crossed 60 hours during paternity leave, and it's like, I have no idea where I left off or what I was doing. I was just doing things in it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's kind of like where we're at. So you're just doing things. And it's like when they're releasing, when it feels like there was a while where there was a ton of different franchises that Ubisoft was pushing, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, Assassin's Creed kind of is creating fatigue. But I kind of feel like now we're at a point where it's like, well, there's Ghost Recon fatigue, there's Division fatigue, there's Assassin's Creed fatigue. It's just like, what doesn't have fatigue from Ubisoft? And I admittedly think that they've done a better job with Assassin's Creed, but I also think that with the DLC plans they have, it kind of feels like Assassin's Creed, even if it's not annual, is just always happening now.
Sure.
So it's like a different type of situation. And on top of that, it seems like people might enjoy playing it, but people don't seem to really be excited to talk about it. You know? I don't know.
And you're talking about Assassin's Creed or in general anything or what?
In general, anything, but like Assassin's Creed specifically. Like even you just saying like, oh, yeah, I played it and put a bunch of hours in, but like you're foggy on the DLC stuff. And it's like, if
I think Valhalla, yeah, I mean, there's definitely the Assassin's Creed fan that loves it all and does all that stuff. But yeah, I think for Valhalla for sure was a game that I would say, and I know that you can argue anything on the internet, but I would say is inarguably too big. Like, I think that was a turnoff for so many people. And I saw so much about that being the conversation. Granted, it's always great to have content to go back to, but when you're spread that thin in Eivor's story, like what I loved about Odyssey, right, was that like I felt like I was playing for like the chapters of the game felt like individual episodes where there would be like the rise and fall, and then I'd get a conclusion, but then I'd have a teaser thing for what's going to happen in the next chapter. Like I thought, Odyssey's just fucking fantastic. And I know a lot of people want to argue Origins is and yada, 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 but I haven't seen Valhalla in that conversation, right? Like Valhalla plays great, looks great, but is it the same vibe of like, you love doing everything in it? I'm sure there are other people. I'm not trying to get in your face.
And last thing, another franchise that the chat's bringing up here is Far Cry. Yeah, Far Cry 6 happened, and then there's DLC happening, and like, talk about fatigue, right? With Far Cry, it's like, I don't know. Ubisoft needs some switch ups to be interesting.
They do. And maybe they will one day, but those games are so far away. Tim, if I wanted something more immediate, what came to the mom and grab shops? Where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform is listed by the Kind of Funny Games daily show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah! Out today, a trio of spintacular games have been added to the Sega Genesis Nintendo Switch online library. Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball, Shining Force 2, and Space Harrier 2. You can play them all right now on the Nintendo Switch system with a Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack membership. Today on Apple Arcade, you get Moonshot, A Journey Home. Mokoko X is now live on Xbox Series X, S, and 1. Fast and Furious, Spy Racers, Rise of the Shifter, Arctic Challenge is now available on Switch,
Holy
PlayStation,
shit.
Xbox, PC, and Stadia. You playing this one? Seeing what Dom is up to?
That is a lot of words and colons and situations, man. A lot of letters and numbers. Gotta love Fast and Furious.
Snowfall is launching on PC today. Turbo Overkill is coming to PC Early Access. Gon Ryu 2, Hakuma Kojiro is on PlayStation 4 and Switch. Evasion from Hell is on PC. Io the Clown is on Xbox One and PlayStation 5. And then PUBG Battlegrounds Update 17.1 is now available on all platforms. So if you want to go do that. Remember when PUBG was the thing? And like, I know it's a thing, but I remember when it was like the fucking thing.
Yeah. It was crazy. I was thinking about that recently. Like, obviously everyone around us in some way, shape, or form was like into it. Like everyone was super into all that. But I remember when Meg Turney came by to visit for something, and she literally, when she wasn't recording with us, was asking to use our PCs to play in the other room. Like, what a crazy time.
That was a time to be alive, ladies and gentlemen. That was the time to be alive. If you're watching live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, of course, you have a special job. Go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. Tell us what we screw up as we screw it up, so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and listening on podcast services around the globe. Kebabs writes in and says, the Assassin's Creed DLC you're talking about, Greg, took you to Svartvalheim. I'll sub my own money for once if Greg pronounces it correctly on the first try. Did I nail it? I think I nailed it, so let me know. Nanobiologist has a funny joke and says, Miss News, Tiny Tina Wonderland's DLC is out now. That's a good one. I like that a lot. And then, this is just a joke about Nick. It's funny, but I'm not going to read it because I can't encourage you people because then you'll do it all the time because you're monsters. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim and I are going to go do a post show on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Then here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, the one, the only Snowbike Mike is about to stream some Fortnite. Of course, you can catch that stream later if you're not watching live, youtube.com/kindoffunnyplays. But if you want to look ahead to next week for who's hosting Kind of Funny Games Daily as we gear up for KFW, April Anarchy Monday, it goes like this. On the 25th, that's a Monday, It's Kind of Funny Games Daily. You're getting a mystery guest in Tim. Not embargoed. I just have an email out to Tam, and I don't know if he's responding yet. Tuesday the 26th, it's going to be me and Gary. Wednesday, it's going to be Blessing and Janet. Thursday, it'll be me and Blessing. And then Friday, it will be Blessing and Timothy to close out your week. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, we're going to go do a show, patreon.com/kindafunnygames. If you're over there and you want to do it, you can write in, you can get the show, you can watch XCast live, you can have a great time. However, no bucks tossed our way. YouTube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, podcast services around the globe. You can watch us live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. Please use your free subscription with Amazon Prime to give it to us. And of course, if you're buying games on the Epic Game Store, use the creator code KindaFunny. If you don't play PC games, I totally understand. When you play Fortnite, Fall Guys, or Rocket League, you can use the creator code KindaFunny there as well, because of course those are Epic games and they have their own little thing no matter where you're playing. For now, it's the weekend time. We got a post show to do. I want to play some games and talk about Jurassic Park 3. But until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.